Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom to those of you here in the sanctuary, and to those of you who are joining us on Facebook Live, and to those of you who are joining us on YouTube, and to those of you who are joining us on the Temple Shalom website, because I know we have people watching us on all three of those systems this evening. So Shabbat Shalom to everyone, and we can greet each other with Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom. Open your Sidur, Mishkan Tefillah, to page 129. By some coincidence, you'll also have page 128 open, but we're going to look on page 129 near the bottom of the page. Ki eshmer Shabbat, if I guard over Shabbat, El Yishmereni, God will watch over me. Ot Hi, it is a sign, Le'ol Me'ad, for all times, Beino Uveini, between God and me. Ki eshmer Shabbat, El Yishmereni, Ki eshmer Shabbat, El page 120, you'll find the blessings for lighting our Shabbat candles. It's interesting to note that in the prayer, it ends with the words, Lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbat. Ner is singular, who commands us to light the candle, right? Who commands us to light the candle of Shabbat. So why two candles? We say that because Shabbat is special, we should do everything double, right? Everything is double. It's why some people have 2 loaves of challah. It's why we light 2 candles when the blessing is only for 1. It's why we say that we have an extra soul on Shabbat. Everything is double to accentuate the beauty and the specialness and the holiness of Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddush קידשנו ומצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של Shabbat. As we turn to page 130, we come to our Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat as we welcome in the Shabbat bride, we welcome in the Shabbat peace, and we say goodbye to all the tsuris of our week and try to come into the space of Shabbat. This week, this Shabbat takes on an extra special meaning because this is the final Shabbat of the year. In another 48-ish hours, 72-ish hours, that's what it is. Another 72 or so, around their hours, we will welcome in the new year. And so this is our last chance this year to try to bring ourselves into a space of Shabbat. And because Rosh Hashanah is so close to Shabbat, we could even use this entire 3-day weekend. See, everybody thought it's a 3-day weekend because of Labor Day. It's a 3-day weekend to get us ready for Rosh Hashanah. I'm convinced that's what it's all about. But we can use this Shabbat to start getting ourselves in the proper mindset and the proper soul set for Rosh Hashanah. Lachuna Ranana, come let us sing joyously to God. Raise a shout to God, our rock and our Redeemer. Come let us sing a song to Adonai. Come let us sing a song to Adonai. Psalm 96 on page 131, in that bottom paragraph, says these words, Yismachu hashamayim, the heavens will be glad. V'tagel haaretz, and the land will also rejoice. Yiram hayam, and the sea will also sing joyfully. Umelo'o, and all that fills it. As we are merely 3 nights away from celebrating creation with the new year since creation, we come here and see that it's not just us, not just humans who celebrate creation, but indeed the heavens and the earth and the waters. And some people read this last part, Yiram hayam umelo'o, and the sea that all it fills it. But really we should read it this way. The heavens and all that fill them will be glad. The earth and all that fills it will be glad. And the waters and all that fill them will be glad. For it's not only the earth and the heavens and the waters, but every living creature that lives in those places as well. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Umelo'o, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Umelo'o, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. on page 134. We read together in English from Psalm 98 in the middle of the page. Sing praise to Adonai with the lyre and melodious song, with trumpets and blasts of the horn. Raise a shout before Adonai the ruler. Let the sea and all within it thunder, the world and its inhabitants. Let the rivers clap their hands, the mountains sing joyously together at the presence of Adonai. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and its people with equity. It leads us to a question this Rosh Hashanah coming up. Praise God with trumpets and horns. The horn here is the shofar. How do we praise God with trumpet and shofar? When university studies have shown us now that they have studied the output of the instruments of the marching band, and the instruments of the marching band put out particles at 100 times what the cantor will put out standing over there in just a couple of days. So what do we do to make sure that we don't send out particles of COVID with the shofar? I can't tell you right now. I can only give you a hint. That's your hint. Come on Rosh Hashanah and we'll figure it all out together. Psalm 99, exalt Adonai our God as we bow down at God's holy mountain. The last three lines of the Hebrew on page 135. Ro'emu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu behar kodsho. Ro'emu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu behar kodsho. Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ro'emu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ro'emu. Ro'emu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu behar kodsho. Ro'emu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu behar kodsho. Page 138 and 139. We welcome in Shabbat with this image of the beauty of the bride like at a wedding. You all know the story of the Talmud question from Masechet Kiddushin, right? About what we do in front of the bride. We dance in front of the bride. Does everybody know this story? How do you dance before a bride? The Talmud asks in Masechet Kiddushin. You dance before the bride as if she is the most beautiful woman in the world. And the rabbis, of course, is a bunch of old men sitting around in a room, right? So one of the rabbis asked, what question? What if she's ugly? A bunch of old men sitting around the room. And the answer is you dance before her as if she's the most beautiful bride in the world. So what lesson is there for Shabbat for us out of this wedding story? Because we talk about Lecha Dodi, come my friend, Likrat Kala, to greet the bride of Shabbat. What it means is that if we've had a great week and we're really happy about welcoming in Shabbat, we should do it joyfully. If we had a really lousy week, we should greet Shabbat the same way as if we had a really wonderful week, because Shabbat comes in to bring us peace. So whether it's been the greatest week of our lives or the worst week of our lives, when Shabbat comes, we greet Shabbat the same way and bring in the peace of Shabbat. And this is the message of this little chorus of Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat mekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamichad, Adonai echad, שמו אחד לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסורך, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Verse number 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורף ובאורי, אורי אורי, שדברי, כבוד עלייך תהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. We rise as we face the door, as we come to the final paragraph number 9 of Lecha Dodi, as we welcome in the image of the Shabbat bride. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. We can all be seated as we turn to page 140, a psalm of Shabbat sung by the Levites in the ancient temple. Come, let us sing joyfully to God to speak of God's kindness and righteousness. Page 140 at the top of the page. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון ובחינות. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך ארני. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמדו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. On page 142, we come to the beautiful poem and old table song of Shalom Aleichem that speaks of those extra angels that come to accompany our souls on Shabbat. All right, we're going to take a straw poll. Shall we be reflective and contemplative because it's the final Shabbat of the year going out? Or should we be joyful and excited because Rosh Hashanah is ushering in the new year? So all those who are feeling contemplative on the last Shabbat, raise your hands. Those who are feeling they want to be joyful of the new year coming in, raise your hands. Alan voted 4 times. What can you do? I don't know. I think it was the second one, just by 1 vote. Second one wins by 1 vote. A joyful melody of the angels coming in and protecting our souls during Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. O Achim L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seidchem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ya la 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 ya la. We move into our Ma'ariv service, page 144, as we sanctify God's name to move us from our introductory prayers into our main service. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba v'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala ba'agala uvizman kariv yimeru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach Olam me'almaya yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yidroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemi dekudesha b'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiron be'alma v'yimeru. Amen. Page 146. We rise as we give each other an invitation, and then we receive each other's invitations. Invitation to join together in prayer and to praise God's name. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Baruchu et Adonai Hamevorach Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Le'olam va'ed Hamevorach page 148. This prayer takes on an extra added meaning on page 148 on this evening, because we are about to celebrate the anniversary of creation, the birthday of the world. And so this prayer, Ma'ariv Aravim, give thanks for evening creation, which came first. If we read the Torah, right? The Torah says, Vayihi Erev, Vayihi Voker. And there was evening, and there was morning. And so we give thanks for creation. And as we think of these words of creation, we'll sing them in Hebrew and we'll read them in English. There's a debate in the Talmud about whether you have to say the prayers in Hebrew or in another language. And the answer to that question is, of course, yes. That is the answer. The answer is yes. That we are supposed to pray in Hebrew because of the history of Hebrew, because of the spiritual nature of the language, because of the resonance of its sound, because of its connection between us and the Jews of the years gone by and centuries and millennia gone by. But we're also supposed to pray in a language that we understand. So if we don't understand the Hebrew, we should pray in the English as well, or whatever our language might be, wherever we may be. And it's in the section of the Talmud called Sota, if you want to look it up later. If you want to read the book, that'll give you all the answers as to whether you need to pray in English or in Hebrew. It's on my desk in there. I'll bring it out to you later. It's a very good book. It's called With These Words I Pray, Historic and Contemporary Perspectives on the Role of Hebrew and Vernacular in the Jewish Prayer Experience. That's what it's called. If it sounds like an academic book, that's because it is. Strangely, as a strange coincidence, my rabbinical thesis is called With These Words I Pray, Historical and Contemporary Perspectives on the Role of Hebrew and English or Vernacular in the Jewish Prayer Experience. So I wrote the book about that subject. But so we're going to do, because creation is such a big idea of Rosh Hashanah coming up in 3 days, we'll say these words in both Hebrew and in English. And we'll say them in a third language too. I'll let you figure out what the third language is. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim v'chokhma poteach she'arim uvidvuna mishane itim u'machalif et hazmanim u'misader et hakochavim u'mishmorotehem barakiyot ketzono yai lai 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 Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Bore yom velayla, goler or mipnei choshech, choshech ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומגדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו לי 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 אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה, אדוני, Praised are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly course according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Did you all figure out the third language? What was the third language? Huh? What was it, Judy? That's a better answer than the answer I was going to give. Silence was the silence to hear just the sound of the world. But the third language, we said the prayer in Hebrew, we said the prayer in English, and I like silence. It's a good answer. But in maybe it's the way my world works, but the third language was the language of music, which I think helps transport the words of prayer as well, which is why for millennia we've written music to sing our prayers together. And then we don't always have music, but we should. But we don't. But we do always, we can always have silence. Sometimes I wish we had more silence than we actually have. We gave thanks for creation right after creation. We moved in the direction of receiving Torah. And so on page 150, using a beautiful melody from the great composer Debbie Friedman, who gave us melodies to bring us into the thought of the prayer. What a beautiful gift the Torah is. It's a gift of love. And so the music, at least Debbie Friedman thought so, and I think I tend to agree with her, the music of the prayer of Ahavat Olam, since this says that it's with an eternal love that God gave us the gift of Torah, the music for this prayer should be the music of a love song. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta. Praised are you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel. Page 152 and 153. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibart bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. We read the translation of those two paragraphs on page 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. Whether you are tired or you are rested, let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gates. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. In fact, this paragraph, the top paragraph, I should say, it comes from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, right after the words of Shema. It's part of the paragraph of Shema. We could have shortened it a lot. We could have just said, V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, turn the page. Love God, turn the page. But we're human, and we need a little reminder of when we're supposed to think of God. When we wake up, when we lie down, when we go to work, when we go home, when we're in the synagogue for Shabbat, when we're on YouTube for Shabbat, when we're on FaceTime for Shabbat, when we're on the website for Shabbat. If someone's watching us in another way, they're pirating it because those are the only 3 official ways that we put it there. But whether we're in the sanctuary or we're at home, and if you're at home, if you're in your living room, your bedroom, your kitchen, wherever it may be, every one of those places, wherever we're gathering together, whether it's physically together or virtually together, we create holy space where we can get into this act of loving God. And how do we love God? By acting in the right way amongst ourselves and amongst the world. We read on page 157, part of that charge of acting with love in the world. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations shall be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Page 158. These ancient words with this modern melody, because the words are timeless. Who is like you, O God, among the deities that are worshipped around the world? Who is like you, majestic in your holiness, awesome in your splendor, doing wonders in our world, leading us to freedom? Say ימלוך לעולם ועד. ייקח באלים אדוני, ייקח נהדר בקודש. We ask God to lie us down in peace and cause us to rise again tomorrow to life, to watch over us and deliver us, to give us good counsel, to keep us from enemy and illness and war, keep us far away from famine, sorrow, wrongdoing. We say, God, please spread a shelter of your peace over us. Those words, the third line of the Hebrew, Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, and spread over us a shelter of your peace, page 160. Ufros aleinu sukat. Praised are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, over Jerusalem, and over all of the world. Page 162. As Moses came down the mountain, he reminded us with God's words about the essence of Shabbat. It is both a Shabbat to remember our redemption from Egypt, but more importantly, perhaps, a reminder of our connection to creation. Because in 6 days, God created the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day, God ceased from all the work. And God refreshed God's soul as we refresh our souls. The words from Exodus chapter 31, Vishameru, the top of page 162. Vishameru b'nei Yisrael et ha'Shabbat, la'asot et ha'Shabbat Torotam berit olam. Adonai et hashamayim et haaretz u'biyom hashvi'i Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat As we turn to page 164, we come to our Amidah. In a moment, we'll stand for the Amidah. Amidah means standing. Tefillah, it's our central prayer. If you'd like to know more about this particular prayer, I want to invite you to put it on your calendars for the month of October. I'm going to do a special class on the Amidah, and you'll be able to join in. It's going to be on Sunday, October 3rd, right here in the sanctuary or on Zoom, 11 to 12. The prerequisites for this class are you have to show up. That's the prerequisite. There's no other prerequisites. The class is called the Amidah, your FaceTime call with God. How can we use this prayer to bring ourselves, as Moses would call it, panim el panim, face to face with God, because that's really what this section of the service is about. It's about our communal and individual conversations with God. And so we begin with the Zimun as we rise with a little melody as we bring ourselves into this space of prayer. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Umagin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Avraham Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Hakol Atah Rav Lehoshia Morid Atah, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye Hakol Berachamim Rabim. Somech noflim verofeh cholim, umatir asuvim, umekayem emunato, b'shenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech mimit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei ha'akol, atah kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh. We continue silently with the Hebrew on 172, or the English on 173, and then the following even or odd numbered pages. Please be seated when you've made your way through page 180, 181. Or you've taken time for your own silent prayers. I'm experimenting for High Holy Day, so we're going to see if this works for me to put my mask on and sing from this space. I'm a little closer and not behind a shield maybe for a little bit. Page 176, you'll find a prayer of thanksgiving. Modim anachnu lach, we give thanks to you, O God. Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors. Le'olam va'ed, for always. Sur chayenu, you are the rock of our lives. Magen yishenu, you are the shield of our salvation. Atahu ledor vador, you are the one in every generation. Modim anachnu lach she'atahu Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Le'olam va'ed. Sur chayenu Magin yishenu Atahu ledor vador Atahu ledor vador. Modi anachnu lach she'atahu Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Le'olam va'ed. Sur chayenu Magin yishenu Atahu ledor vador Atahu ledor vador. On page 371, we turn our thoughts to those who are in need of healing. In our prayers this week, we ask for refuah shlema, for complete healing, for Yishav Zaza, Carrie Schillinger, Betsy Appel, Robert Oppenheim, Carrie Susser, Brian Zabel, Sylvia Chuk, Carolyn Fox, Reuven Ben Sipora, Stephen Sharrow, Chaim Mordechai Ben Shmuel Yisaschar, Rosalind Weinberg, Irene Lambert, Moshe Ben Avraham. We also ask for healing for all those who are suffering from the COVID-19 virus. Here in the United States, the 8,771,697 currently reported cases. In the land of Israel, the 88,833 currently reported cases. And worldwide, the biggest number I've seen in quite some time, 18,937,692. For all of them, and I know for those who are watching us on our streaming live, that you're thinking of people at home as well, so please, you can say their names out loud at home if you'd like. If anybody in the room has other names, Alan Davidson, we want to include you, Alan, as well. Anybody else? Thank you. Thank you. Any other names for healing? We ask God to give each and every one of them refuah shlema min hashamayim, complete healing from the heavens, and may it come bimheira v'yameinu. May it come very, very quickly in our time. Page 371. Yishebera Avotenu Mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishebera ayimotenu kor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body want to share just a few thoughts with all of you as we make our way toward this new year, 5782. If we've been doing the work that the Talmud and the rabbis of old tell us that we should be doing since the beginning of Elul, we should be making our teshuvah, our return to righteousness, making our slichot, making our apologies. If we've been doing the work that the Talmud and the Torah tell us to do, we should be finding our pathway back from whatever wrongs we might have committed. If we're following the pathway that Judaism lays out for us, we had reached the lows, and by Yom Kippur, we'll reach the highs. Everybody talks about Yom Kippur, that it's the celebration of the new year, or Rosh Hashanah is the celebration of the new year, and Yom Kippur, it's that very serious holiday where we talk about sin. But it should be the other way around, really. Rosh Hashanah should be the very serious holiday because we're entering into the Yamim Noraim. We're entering into the days of awe, the last 10 days of asking for forgiveness, not only from God, but from others. And Yom Kippur should be the party holiday. Because what other time of the year is your soul completely pure, except right when you hear the Tekiah Gedolah, the last blast of the shofar on Yom Kippur? It's the moment that if we've done it correctly, your soul, our souls, are all in their most pure state. What more joyful time could there be than that very moment of that final shofar blast? You know what's so great about it is the moment that you hear that shofar blast, you haven't talked to anybody yet, so you could not have said anything terrible to them yet. A lot of people, I'm going to use the technical Talmudic term, as soon as that shofar blast is over, a lot of people, they already start to get their souls, I'm going to use the very technical term here, they already start to get their souls very schmutzidik already, full of schmutz, full of dirt, that moment after the shofar blast. Hopefully we last longer than that, but you never know. But in that moment of the shofar blast, our souls are pure. What a joyful moment that is. And it's especially joyful, one might think, for the tzaddik, for the righteous person, right? The righteous person who does good all the time, who's great. But actually, the Talmud tells us that's not the case. It's actually more of a joyful moment for the person who was engaged in great sin and then became a Baal Teshuvah, a returner. Now, in modern terms, Baal Teshuvah, we usually in Jewish circles, we use that term to mean someone who's become ultra-Orthodox. That's the term we use, someone who's Baal Teshuvah. They were secular and they became ultra-Orthodox. But that's not the origin of the term. In modern sense, that's what the term is used as. But in the Talmud, if we look at Masechet Brachot, page 34b, you'll look it up later when you go home, it says to us, it says, Bamakom she'ba'al teshuvah omed, ein tzaddik gamur yochol la'amod ba. In a place where a Baal Teshuvah, and we'll talk about that term again in a moment, in a place where a Baal Teshuvah stands, a perfectly righteous person cannot stand there. A Baal Teshuvah is someone who has sinned and then returned from that sin. Someone who has done wrong and returned from their wrongs and brought themselves into a place of righteousness. The Talmud says that where that person stands, the truly righteous person can't stand there. Goes on to explain, well, why is that the case? Because the truly righteous person doesn't have the depth of understanding. As the person who has created wrongs and then gone and has finished the work to fix those wrongs. A righteous person may have acted righteous all the time, but they can't know the pathway of what it really means to come back from doing what is wrong and finding your way back to doing what is right. This is the meaning that where a Baal Teshuvah, a person who's returned to the righteous ways, where this person stands, a perfectly righteous person cannot stand. Because if you're perfectly righteous all the time, first of all, I'd like to meet you because I've never met that person. I know I'm certainly not that person. But the truly righteous person would be able to bask in God's light, the light of Torah and the light of God all the time. And they would begin to take it for granted. But the person who has been lost in darkness, the person who has been far, far away from God's presence and far, far away from God's light, this person truly treasures that light. And so as we walk our path of teshuvah, our path of returning to God's ways, and when we hear that shofar blast at the very end of Yom Kippur, where hopefully we have done the words, we've done the work, we've taken the steps to bring ourselves into that moment of absolute purity. In that moment, we'll all be blessed with basking in the presence of God and in the presence of God's light, in the presence of God's Torah. And however we deviated from it in the year 5781, may we deviate less in the year 5782. And may we, as we were charged in the book of Isaiah, take that light, bring it within ourselves, and then let it shine out as we become an Or LaGoyim, a light unto the nations, to bring God's light not only into our own souls, but into all the souls that surround us. And that we not only fix the wrongs that we see that we have created, but maybe we can take some steps to fix the wrongs that others might have created as well. May it be a year of happiness and joy, a year of health, and most especially, may it be a year filled with light. Amen. If you'll turn in your Siddur, as we make our way into our closing prayers, and we turn to Aleinu on page 586 as we all rise. 586. Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kogoye haratzot, velo samanu ki mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishachavim umodim, lifnei melech, malchei hamalachim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu notei shamayim veyoser haaretz, umoshav yikaro bashamayim mima'al, ushchinatu zo, b'gofei meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu efes ulato, kakatu b'torato, yadata hayom v'hashivota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, bashamayim ima'al, ve'al haaretz, mitachat ein od, ki amalchut shelcha hi, Timloch bechavod, kakatu b'toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, the middle of page 590. V'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, echad, u'shemo echad. We can all be seated. We turn to page 598 as we turn our thoughts to those who have died in this season and years gone by. In our yard sites this week, we recall the memories of Abraham Albion, Eric Flaxenberg, Rose Resnick Johnson, Nathan Friedman, Milton Karsh, Abraham Friedman, Arnold Benton, Baruch Bram, Baruch Friedman, Betty Chernow, Ellie Myrer, Faja Bram, Haskell Friedman, Hertz Shukier, Jake Berland, Laja Bram, Leah Bram, Lemel Bennis, Liebke Bennis, Mendel Bram, Meir Feinberg, Mordechai Bram, Morris Kutinsky, Moshe Bram, Paula Cohen, Rivka Friedman, Rudka Bennis, Sarah Bennis, Yahit Bennis, Yankala Bennis, Yitzchak Bram, Max Miller, Rose Tenenbaum, Sigmund Dutch Deutscher, Morris Karsman, Bessie David, David Palazzi, Irene Miller, and Tilly Rifkin. We also recall the memories of those who have died in the COVID-19 pandemic. Here in the United States, the reported deaths of 664,913 precious souls. In the land of Israel, the reported deaths of 7,129 precious souls. And worldwide, the reported deaths of 4,566,105 precious souls. The sad note is we know that every one of those numbers is actually an underestimate of the real numbers. Are there any other yard sites that anyone else is observing this evening? Yehiyu zichronam levracha. May the memories of all of these righteous souls be an eternal blessing. We ask mourners to rise, even if they're joining us virtually, and those whose custom it is to stand with them as well. As we turn to page 598, as we sanctify God's name with the words of the Kaddish Atom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'izman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach la'alam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudish abrichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom bimroma. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. We can all be seated. Before we bring our service to a close, I'd like to invite David Weiss from our board of directors to come and share a few announcements with all of us. I'll bet some of them have something to do with the new year.
That's right. Shana Tova. Nice to see everybody in person. There are lots of announcements here about the holidays. And the first one I want to mention is that Rosh Hashanah service Monday starts at 7 p.m. And it's going to be wonderful to see people here and virtually. And just as a reminder, we're not doing Zoom. We're going to do Facebook and YouTube. And if you go to the temple's webpage, Temple Shalom, and you go to your account and press My Account and Member News, you get the link. But not only do you get the link to the YouTube, but Elena was showing me you can chat in there. And on the left side of the page is the PDF of the prayer book for the high holidays, which is pretty awesome. So that's if you go to My Account on the Temple Shalom website and go under Member News. There's the link like right at the top.
And David, we have to remind everybody, they have to sign in order for that to work. You have to sign into your account. All those things David just explained, if you're not signed in, you'll see none of them.
Right.
If you sign in, you'll see all of that.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting, and I feel like the whole system has been updated recently too. which is very nice.
New cameras and new sound.
Yeah, and I can tell as Elena moves the video around too, which is very nice. So anyway, that's starting Monday night at 7, and then Rosh Hashanah service on Tuesday starts at 9:30. I'm looking forward to seeing the cantor. That's very exciting.
He arrives in town Sunday night.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I also want to mention Care and Share food donations. We're going to kick off the new year by participating in a mitzvah, right? So the way we do this is we support the needs of those who are hungry in our surrounding community by partnering with Care and Share Food Bank of Southern Colorado. So we collect non-perishable foods. So you can pick up an empty grocery bag at the temple beginning Erev Rosh Hashanah and then return it on Yom Kippur full, which is really wonderful. As full as you can with unopened non-perishable food items, return the bag through Yom Kippur. And then for those of us with little kids like me, it's super exciting that Sunday, September 12th, from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., we have religious school back, which is great.
Yay.
Yay. So we're going to have family tefillah with Rabbi Jay at 9:30, and we're going to have a Nevatim for the littlest kids. And don't forget, on that day, we're going to have a community picnic starting at 11:30 a.m. Bless you. 11:30 to 12:30, bring your own picnic lunch and blanket to the front lawn of Temple Shalom, so that way. And you can schmooze with your friends, which some of you may not have seen for like a year and a half. Isn't that pretty exciting? It's wonderful. Oh, and don't forget, if you don't remember anything else, on the 12th, there's going to be an ice cream truck. All right.
And David, we need to note, it's free. Free ice cream for all temple members.
Free ice cream for all members. And last year we did this and it was wonderful. And it's so great to see everybody.
And if you want a banana split, it's a small upcharge. But they'll have banana splits and cotton candy also. So there you go. A free scoop of ice cream for everybody. You can pay for extra scoops. You can upgrade to a banana split. You can get. You don't want to miss it.
It's a wonderful community event, and you're outside, so you're safe either way, right? And there's an ice cream truck for free. Take your Lactaid if you need it. And then there's the Nila experience at Temple Shalom Tuesday, September 14th. So write that down. So that's the quiet individual visit for your personal reflection at the Ark here. And there's a sign-up link, which I can't quite press right now, but I'm sure it's on the temple website for you to sign up to come here. And that's always a very special thing that I like to do every year. I think it's really super meaningful.
You can put a note in the kotel in the back, the back of the room, put a note in the kotel there, and all those notes will actually go to Israel with us on the temple trip to Israel in June of 2022. So every note that goes in that wall will actually go in the real kotel in Jerusalem. And most of that day on the Ne'ilah experience, I'll be here too, so you could have one-on-one time with the rabbi.
Yeah, I thought that was very meaningful last time. To just talk to the rabbi one-on-one is a big deal. And then finally in my little list of announcements, it's shake, 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 and still shake more, your lulav. So you can order the lulav and etrog for Sukkot and for the daily shaking, and then if you have questions, they have a link here. Are we going to do the thing outside with the kids with the lulav and the etrog again? That's always wonderful. In fact, one of my favorite memories is of Micah when he was a toddler with the lulav and the etrog when he was like 4, at the synagogue here. So
shake,
make more of those.
Shake, 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 shake your lulav, shake your lulav.
Right.
Oh, shake, 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 shake your lulav, shake your lulav. Yeah, we're going to do a lot of lulav shaking.
Yeah, that's a really wonderful, meaningful thing. So Shabbat Shalom, Lashana Tova. Look forward to seeing you for services again.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Thank you. At the bottom of page 657, a prayer in the form of a song for peace. It's at the bottom of page 657. a beautiful prayer. I call it a prayer, but it's a song written by a group by the name of Sheva, which means 7. There were 7 people in the band. Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's a little wet outside, so we're going to join together for Kiddush and Motzi right back over there. And Shabbat Shalom to all of our friends on Facebook and YouTube and on the temple website. Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Isn't that a great tune? Yeah, the name of the band is Sheva. That's a big hit from the mid 1990s is when that was a hit in Israel, and it's the only singable song on that album. Everything else on that album is this like ethereal. Well, I mean the name of the album is called, in English it's called Celestial Wedding, and it's all of this like really wacky, out there tribal kind of sounding music. It's all kind of really cool, very cool band. And actually, at our wedding, we had a different song for each person walking down the aisle, and that was Lisa's "Walk Down the Aisle" song. And album in the original recording, it's like this really slow, it's super slow. It's just a couple of drums, and it breaks into this frenzy of like flutes and guitars, drums and tambourines and craziness. And when they play it in concert, there's like dancing everywhere, and then it just calms down to nothing. And so like Lisa starts walking down the aisle like this, you know. And by the end, she's like dancing. She's like, get up, come on, we're dancing. But let's all move back here It's kiddish time back here. Come on back, come on back. Into the darkness. All righty. Come, everyone. Come into my darkness because we didn't turn on the lights. All righty. Yeah, way back there. You'd think there'd be a light switch over here. This is like the one for the outdoor lights, I think. I'm not sure if that one turns on. I know it turns on the outdoor lights. I don't know if it turns on the indoor lights. I don't know. Alrighty. Grape juice here. If anybody, grape juice or wine, I'm going to grab this little cup right here. Well, here we'll pass out and we'll. Yvonne, wine or grape juice? What would you like? Here we go. Alan, passing for you. Anybody else have we got? Erev vayivoker yom hashishi, vayichulu shamayim v'aretz v'kol tzva'am, v'yechol Elohim b'yom hashiv l'to asher asa, v'yishpot b'yom hashiv mikom l'to asher asa, v'yivarech Elohim et yom hashiv v'kedeshoto, ki vo shavat mikom l'to asher bara Elohim la'asot savri chavirai l'chaim, baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pori hagafen, baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitchanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amin, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu, baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, amotzi lechem min haaretz v'te'avon. Shabbat shalom, a little challah. Challah for everybody. Our challah tonight comes courtesy of, I don't remember who baked. Someone baked this challah for us today. And Elena told me, I then went and forgot. Okay. And then I went and forgot who it was. David, a little challah, you got some? Elena, if you can hear me on the sound system. Who baked the challah, Elena? Who? Robin Gottlieb baked our challah today. Yeah.